Hi, my name is Mike Carpenter, frequently and sometimes affectionately known as Mike the Money Man. I am a licensed mortgage broker in the state of Washington, and my license number is 111356. In the last segment, we talked about prepaid items. We talked about prepaid property taxes and prepaid hazard insurance. And we deliberately left out prepaid interest so we can address it in this section. Prepaid interest is very important. It can affect your overall closing costs significantly. We're going to talk about why that is. We're also going to talk about the payment structure of renting versus a mortgage. So prepaid interest. One second here. Prepaid interest. So in the closing costs section, I alluded to prepaid interest. And in the prepaid items section, I alluded to prepaid interest. And it's so important that I thought it required a separate illustration and a separate segment to kind of fully explain it. First of all, let me explain the difference between renting and a mortgage. So when you're renting, these are months. This is January, this is February, this is March, this is April, and this is May. So when you pay your rent at the beginning of January, you pay for the month that you're about to use. So you pay and you use the time, then you pay and then you use the time, then you pay and you use the time, so on and so forth till the end of time, theoretically. But when you have a mortgage, you are what they call paying in arrears. So we're going to draw the same months. Call this January, February, March, April, May. So with a mortgage, let's say you close on the 28th day of January. Your first payment is not until the beginning of March, because you use the time in advance and then you pay for it in arrears after you've used the time. And then you use the time, and then you pay, and you use the time and pay. As opposed to paying and using the time, you're using the time and paying. It's sort of a little bit in reverse. But let's enlarge those months, January, February, March, April, and May. So January, February, March, April, and May. So, but let's say that you closed on the 25th day of January. Your first payment is not until the 15th of March. And it's actually not late until the 30th day of March. You get the bill for the 1st, it's due on the 15th, and it's late on the 30th. But this little sliver of time between January 25th and January 31st, there's no place to put that. It can't be put in here, and it can't be put in here, it can't be put in there or there. So they collect it in advance, and that can really drive up your prepaid items. Let's say we have a mortgage of $400,000 at 4%, 4.875. That may not represent reality, it's just for illustration purposes. That is a monthly principal and interest payment of $2,116.83, or $70.56 per day. So if you closed on the 25th, that is 6 days. And they do indeed charge you for the day that you close because you're technically using the money on that day. But 6 days is, in fact, let me use my calculator real quick here. $70.56 per day at 6 days is $423.36, which gets added to your prepaid interest. It gets added to your prepaid items. So it can be a chunk if you haven't planned for it. But the rule of thumb is that the further down into a month that you close, the smaller that dollar amount gets. But the further you go into a month, the bigger that dollar amount gets. And in theory, it can be as much as one full payment added to your overall closing costs and prepaid items if you close on the first day. I mean, the numbers aren't exactly correct, that don't exactly work that way, but it can be a chunk that you're not if you're not planning ahead for it. Closing at the end, if you're lucky enough to close at the end of the month, and the end of the month is in fact the last day of the month, you can get away with 1 day of prepaid interest at $70.56. But you really have to figure out whether or not you can close and move out and not have to incur any rent on the property that you're exiting. So sometimes it actually makes sense to close a few days into a month. But the rule of thumb, further into a month you go, cheaper it is. The further toward the end of a month you go, the cheaper it is. And the more you, toward the beginning of the month, the more expensive it is. So, hey everybody, I wanted to append to this video with a little bit more information. So in the earlier part of the video, I had mentioned that if someone were to close a loan on the 20th day of any given month, and there being 30 days in that month, that there would be 10 days of prepaid interest added to the loan amount, added to the closing costs and prepaid items. And I did that calculation just like this. And I had also mentioned that's not quite the way the math works. Well, this is the way the math works. So I had calculated $400,000 at 4.875 has a principal and interest payment of $21,683. And assuming a 30-day month, that would be $70.56 per day. And at 10 days, that would be $705.61. And since I'm stickler for accuracy, and I'm sure someone will find this effort valuable, that's really not the way the calculation works. So when you make your payment, it consists of principal and interest. And a certain percentage of the payment goes towards principal, and so does interest. So prepaid interest is only the interest portion of the payment. So the exact way to do this calculation is to take $400,000 at 4.875 equals $2,116.83 principal and interest. And the first payment, the principal portion of that payment, is $491.83. So that first payment, $491.83, goes towards principal. And what goes towards interest is $1,625.00. So this portion of the payment is the portion that you will use for calculating the prepaid interest for 10 days. And that is $54.17 per day rather than $70.56. So 10 days of prepaid interest would be $423.36. That is somewhat different than the 705. So I know this is a small area of correction, but it's primarily for the geeks out there who will find this information and then tell me that I didn't do it right. So rather than $705.61, it should be $423.36. So I hope that this is Correct? Wrong. I hope that this is clear. Let me know if it's not. Thanks for watching my video. I hope you found it useful and informative. It's intended as a broad overview of the material so that you may have some further questions. Feel free to ask them, and I'll be happy to answer them as best I can. Share, like, and subscribe, but share it with somebody who can actually use it. Maybe someone who's going through the loan process and is a little confused. Hope they get something out of it as well. So happy viewing. There's more to the series. Hope you enjoy the rest of the videos. Thank you. And now for a quick disclaimer. So these videos are intended for informational purposes only. So don't rely on them for making important financial decisions, especially decisions concerning your housing. If you've got any questions about how this information applies to your given situation or your given transaction, please contact your mortgage broker directly, and they can give you advice. And any rate, fee, cost, or loan limit information was accurate at the time that the video was made, but may not be currently accurate because underwriting guidelines change all the time. So if you've got any questions about how this information relates to you specifically, contact your mortgage broker. So I hope you continue to enjoy the series. Thanks.